Welcome to the What If podcast with your hosts, Spencer Worth Davis and Ryan Copperrood.
We're going to be left to our own devices, our own defenses, our own skills.
Cindy feels that in order to keep her family safe from invaders, it is critical that they extend and protect their defensive perimeter.
By packing that small game with some explosives, you can easily disguise it to look like a regular animal sitting there in the woods.
The stewards are using their taxidermy skills to create camouflaged IEDs, improvised explosive devices to wound or kill enemy soldiers that come on their property.
That's gonna...
7 pounds, they're gonna wipe out 10 people.
Camouflaged to fit into their environment, IEDs are often filled with nails, broken glass, and ball bearings, and can have a kill radius of up to 250 feet.
So I'm thinking right here, because we've got another entrance, another trail people can follow. It's looking very realistic, y'all, very realistic. Everybody's gonna be trying to hunt small game. They're gonna be hungry. It's gonna make people curious, and they're gonna come and look. The curiosity is going to kill the cat.
Well, it's covered.
Hi, everybody. This is the What If podcast. Holy shit.
Raccoon IEDs. I bet you didn't know you're getting into that today.
We're in for a ride today.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Spencer.
What's happening, Ryan? Are you back from your brush with the bubonic plague?
I feel like, so last week, if you didn't listen to, well, I guess 2 weeks ago now, our part one of this episode, we talked about possible scenarios of how the earth might end. And I feel like maybe I made too many jokes about pandemics, and the universe was like, how about you get sick for a little while?
How about you start the next one, bro?
How about you get sick for a little while just so you stop thinking being sick is very funny, Ryan?
Well, I'm glad you're back from the dead.
Thanks, man. I think I'm probably not the nicest to listen to right now, but I'm definitely...
I mean, it's never that great.
Well, that's true. I'm not... I would have laughed, but you're just too correct. But no, it's good to be back in the world of the living, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, dude. Just been brushing up on, ways to kill people through taxidermy.
What y'all just heard?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah, so...
that's a real thing, huh? We were just listening to a clip from...
That's from the show Doomsday Preppers.
Uh-huh.
On History or National Geographic.
National
Geographic.
Yeah.
And there's this lady who lives in rural Georgia because
of course she does.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Georgia. We still love you.
Not that lady, but the rest of you seem fine.
Well, I don't know. I kind of love that lady.
And she and her husband started a taxidermy business on their property, and they, as a way to, I guess, deter whatever imaginary enemy combatants they were referring to.
Yeah, what?
They place animals stuffed with explosives around the perimeter of their property, and then they have certain points from their property where they can shoot the animals to, like, snipe them and make them explode.
Are they triggered by anything else? Like, are they like...
I don't think so.
Okay.
Shockingly, this is not really well thought out.
Okay, got it.
I think you have to shoot the raccoon in order for it to explode. Because she was saying people are going to be hungry, they're going to be hunting. So she's thinking that
they shoot it.
They're going to be invaded, and then whoever's invading them is going to get hungry and try and hunt a raccoon, and then they're going to kill themselves. It's really a foolproof plan, if you ask me. I can see no flaws in her logic.
I think maybe the most foolish part is like, if you have multiple of these on your property, and there's a 250-foot blast radius on them.
By far, the most likely outcome is that you're going to kill yourself.
Like, instantly.
Yeah.
Like, maybe without even... You're going to set one off, and, like, the other 14 on your property are all going to get hit by the nails, glass, and ball bearings? What?
Or your obese 9-year-old who you armed with a rifle is going to shoot one of them thinking it's real and kill all of you.
That's actually maybe the most likely thing from 10 feet away is that kid's going to be like, look, Mama got a raccoon. Just kidding. Me and the family dog and all of us are dead now.
Yep. So that's one way to prepare for the oncoming apocalypse that's probably going to be brought around by people just like her.
Yeah, boy, is it ever.
I like that the first order of business for an invading army would be to take out rural taxidermy shops.
Yeah, right. Like,
lady, no one gives a fuck about you.
They're really coming for you, right? You're their first concern. Maybe she's like, No, I'm going to be their last concern, which means I'm the last bastion of hope.
I'm
for
the
all
last line of
humanity.
defense. These stuffed raccoons are all we've got.
I'm going to be the last human being alive in the world. If you weren't with us 2 weeks ago, we asked the question, what if the world ends? And we decided that it inevitably will.
Yes. In a variety of fun and exciting ways.
Yeah, fun and exciting. More existential dread from some folks came in off of that episode.
I didn't catch any of that. Sorry, team.
Sorry, squad.
Everything's fine.
Everything is fine.
There are morons blowing up raccoons. The world is fine.
This one is going to be, we did have some fun with the ways the world was going to end. This one's going to be more fun, though. We're talking about how people are trying to prepare for the world ending and ways that they may save themselves and others and humanity and...
or not, most of the time.
Or not, if your choice is to do some of the wild stuff that some of these folks on shows like Doomsday Preppers do. But I will say this. I think that there's a line of like, it's better to need it and not have it, or it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Sure.
That I think like some of these people are doing some version of, which I can get behind, but it's the people who are stuffing 7 pounds of C4 and ball bearings into taxidermied raccoons on their property, thinking they're going to shoot them with a rifle and that's what's going to save them. That's like when it gets to this whole level of like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And you cross the line into you're no longer enjoying your time now. You're spending your free time skinning raccoons and stuffing them with explosives.
Right. One of the articles I actually read that I thought was super interesting about the whole like prepper phenomenon, if you will, is that basically there was a psychologist who said that it can be akin to an addiction because at the end of the day,
sure it is.
For a lot of these people, it's creating a sense of security, which like it does, right? I mean, if you have some extra water in your basement and you have like some extra food or whatever, like that creates a sense of security. Yeah. If you live on the East Coast and another hurricane hits, New Jersey and you have some extra food and water, like you're probably going to be super psyched that you have that.
Yeah.
But then it's the people who go, well, if that made me feel that little extra amount of secure, I could keep going and become super duper secure.
And start training my elementary school children in hand-to-hand combat.
Yes, please tell me that's a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And like that's when it gets taken to a level of like almost literally a psychosis,
it's a weird combination of addiction / hoarder syndrome.
Actually, that is what the psychologist said. Is it whatever part of the brain? I'm trying to find it right now, but whatever part of the brain it plays on is the same one that is like filled by hoarding.
But you also get the cool added bonus of feeling like you're part of a cult,
right? Mm-hmm. Okay,
that you're superior to other people that aren't prepping for the inevitable takeover by whoever.
Yeah,
or the solar flare that's going to take out the power grid or the whatever and the whatever. Real quick stat to start the show.
Yeah.
According to a study done by Reuters, 22% of Americans think that the world is going to end within their lifetime.
I would love to know how that stat has changed.
Huh?
Over time.
Oh, got you.
Like, I would love to know what that number was during World War I and World War II and Vietnam and the Cold War. And like that would be really fascinating. Excuse me. That would be really fascinating to me to know. Is that high for where we are?
It sure seems like it.
But I also think that
people just don't understand how things work, apparently.
But I would also say that there are other periods of time where, they were being like kids in elementary schools during the Cold War were doing nuclear fallout, like hide under your desk exercises.
Right. And guess what? The world didn't end.
Well, no, it didn't. But I'm just saying, I bet you that number was higher then than it was right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe close. Just to go back to the whole psychosis thing really quick, I found this quote. So it's Peter Behrens from Penn State University says, it's good to have something stored away. It's good to have something stored away. Some 72 hours worth of food is great, but he said prepping can turn into a non-substance pathology similar to hoarding and excessive gambling when taken to the extreme. Quote,
Yep.
a lot of people get into this as a pastime, he said, but it's a slippery slope to becoming irrational and aggressive. Barron said prepping is cause for concern if a person starts hoarding firearms and ammunition, and if more than 10% of a person's income becomes devoted to prepping. He warns that it can be similar to being in a cult if a person gives up long-standing relationships with friends and family members to associate only with other preppers. This is a situation that revolves around anxiety, he said, and it doesn't match with rational behavior. That's from an article in the Star Tribune called "Are You Ready When Disaster Strikes? These Minnesota Doomsday Preppers Are," which actually coincidentally just came out in our local paper like 2 weeks ago.
I think it's funny not funny, but I think it's interesting that he called it a pastime, because it really does seem like a lot of people who invest a lot of time in it are just bored.
Well,
like they just don't have other stuff to do, and that is like starts as sort of a hobby taken to this weird extreme where it's valued above other much more rational things.
And totally. And I also think when you talk about it from a pastime perspective, you're looking at people who lived through the Great Depression, like people who are generations or two older than us. And I do it regularly, so I keep a stash of meat in my basement because I never know what's going to happen, I think as a cultural pastime for some people, like being prepared and in the wilderness is like a thing that they just sort of did as part of their daily lives.
And that part of it I'm all for. Like the
Right.
stuff that you can actually enjoy doing, like gardening.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
That's good for everyone.
Canning.
You like
Yeah.
like doing it. It's better for the environment to grow your own food. You probably end up saving some money. Like that's just good for business.
Totally.
Or I don't know, learning how to maintain and fix small engines or stuff in your house or electronics, or like that's a useful skill that you could also probably enjoy learning and practicing.
Right.
But like people who are storing up ammunitions
And like years worth of food. And
and it seems like it often switches over into this weird, like, this is my excuse to own a bunch of crazy assault rifles territory.
Yeah.
Like the blog I'm looking at right now, the advertisements on the side are win a gun, absolutely 100% free to enter. And they're advertising a free AR-15 giveaway.
Great.
Which I don't think is legal. I'm not sure you can give away AR-15s on the internet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That seems a little shisty.
But it's just like, it really quickly veers into like weird Southerner states' rights, kill, just like super racist, violent militia, segregationist type shit.
For sure. There's these, it's such a strange spectrum, right? Of like people who take it super far and people who are like, just like trying to be like a little whatever, and people that don't even think about it. And like, I think too, to your point about that blog is like, I think one of the biggest problems is it's like a self-fulfilled prophecy from a lot of people who are just trying to make money on this. Like this same article that I was just reading from a minute ago. You can literally go to Costco right now and spend $3,500 and get like whatever.
On a bunch of shit you will never use.
It's like a plastic bucket of MREs, like meal ready to eat is the military term for it. And it's not technically military MREs, but it's basically like prepackaged, dried, canned food. Excuse me. Prepackaged, dried, canned food that you can just sort of have in your basement in case it all goes down. $3,500 for a year for a family of 4. And a lot of people are trying to just sell these off of websites. So they're just going, the world's ending, the world's ending, the world's ending. Buy my guns, buy my food, buy the products that I'm trying to sell you because you should be super afraid. I mean, fear is like one of the number one marketing and advertising. Yeah, exactly. One of the number one marketing and advertising tactics is like fear. So it's kind of wild.
You have to protect your family.
Yeah. You might.
Or you're a little bitch. Give me your money.
Buy my guns. Buy these guns right now.
Do you want to hear 105 ways that your life will change after the apocalypse?
Not all 105 of them.
Do you want to hear the highlights?
Okay, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Otherwise, I feel like we would spend the rest of this entire episode on all 105.
Number 2. Consider getting a pair of sport goggles with your prescription today. Do it today. It's important.
Today.
Just in case. Sport goggles can take a lot more abuse than traditional eyeglasses. Because if you need contacts or glasses after the apocalypse, you're fucked. Mm-hmm. Buy Rec Specs.
Buy Rec Specs.
Number 18. There will be no more musicians no more concerts or fancy musicians.
Oh, are we fancy? Is that what we are now?
Mega concerts in stadiums will be a thing of the past. To me, this is 100% fine. No more B-Romania or watching Miley Cyrus doing lewd acts on stage.
Wow.
Miley Cyrus's lewd acts will be gone after the apocalypse. Thank Christ.
Let's shout out who we're reading from real quick so that...
Should we?
I think we have to if we're reading direct quotes from their website.
No, we don't. Fuck this guy. This is some moron with a blog giving away AR-15s.
What's it called? Just what's the blog called?
I'm not shouting out his stupid website. This dude sucks. I'm just gonna mock him without giving him any free traffic to his website.
All right, keep going.
Number 55. Children's sleepovers won't happen.
Okay.
After the apocalypse, which he keeps calling Teotihuacan. Did you come across this at all?
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
And I'll tell you in a second.
After the apocalypse, trust will no longer be extended past your immediate family. Trust may still reach to your extended family, but that's about it. That's what you just said, you dumb fuck. If food, water, and heat are scarce resources, the last thing you'll want to do is waste them on someone else's children. Fuck those kids. They can die. I hated them anyway. All right, one more. Number 96. This dude was really scraping the bottom of the barrel by the time he got to number 96.
Ever get down there? Wow.
Number 96 is no more car washing or car washes.
I mean, I barely get my car washed as it is.
No car washing or car washes. Neither.
I don't
know. This dude can barely read.
You won't do it yourself, and you won't pay someone to do it.
Somehow, an
you.
illiterate man has a website. It's really quite adorable.
So, this is something that I learned in my research, which is that people who are preparing for the end of the world, survivalists, doomsday preppers, have a significant number of acronyms that they use to talk about stuff, right?
Yep.
So, like...
when the shit hits the fan, I came across that one a lot.
Yeah, so... yes, when the shit hits the fan is one.
That one I really love because you're adding a lot of syllables by using the acronym.
The one you just asked me about has how many syllables in it, or how many?
Right. Well, okay, so you're using an acronym for something that is entirely one syllable words.
It's not sure. It's not.
And then adding
anything.
at least one W.
Right. It's not shortening anything for you.
You're making it probably twice as long.
So we've got EDC, which is people's version of everyday carry. So that's what people keep on their person on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people will have like a compass and a knife. And like
I learned about one guy who had the 10 C's.
The 10 C's? Is this like a formula for being prepared?
Yeah, the 10 things that he always has with him.
What are the C's?
I don't know, because most of them didn't start with C. He figured out a way to call duct tape like something that started with a C, and he called rope cording, and a cutting tool instead of a knife.
Wow, he really...
I'm surprised he knew that knife didn't start with a C.
He really melted
melted
some metal to make that become what he wanted it to be, huh? So we've got EOTW, End of the World, EDC,
EOTW, longer than the words it stands for.
WROL, without rule of law, describing a potentially lawless state of society.
Also longer than the thing they're trying to abbreviate.
Yo, you're on your own is an interesting one. So the one that you just encountered is TEOTWAWKI, which stands for the end of the world as we know it.
Oh, that's what that is. Cool.
Yeah.
Also longer than the thing they're trying to abbreviate. Did you find anybody who was doing like reasonable preparation for a somewhat reasonable scenario?
I mean,
I really dug hard for that and found nothing.
I did, for sure. Like, there are just people who, like, they keep a backpack in their car and it's got, like a little first aid. Like, it's almost like a roadside assistance thing. Like, a lot of people have a version that they just, like, keep in their car. But it's like an extra pair of shoes, an extra pair of, like, a hat.
That's not prep for the end of the world. That's prep for, like, a flat tire.
Okay.
Or a snowstorm.
That's probably true. Well, okay. Here's a question for you. If if you're prepping for the end of the world, and we've kind of roasted all of the scenarios of the end of the world in our last episode.
I wouldn't say that. I think a lot of the scenarios we talked about are plausible.
That's true. I guess
the problem is there's no way to predict them.
Right.
Or most of them, at least.
I guess that works. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, what would be a reasonable version of it? Like, I guess, I don't know that I know anybody who has gone too far. I think I personally defend this because I think it's not a bad idea. Like, I am a person who sort of pragmatically lives by the version of like, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I don't think that applies to like some of the lengths that people go to, but I do think like, why not have like some extra food and water in your house in case like a tornado hits downtown Minneapolis and all of a sudden it's like, fuck, I can't go anywhere for at least 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
No, that makes sense. And I guess, but that's not an end of the world scenario. That's a localized weather scenario.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time and should be prepared for.
Yeah.
The only one I could kind of think of that you could maybe prepare for would be like a financial collapse of some sort.
People keeping gold and shit.
Or, yeah, some sort of valuables that could be useful but aren't cash.
Yeah.
Or even having cash on hand would be, in the short term, useful.
I've heard some people say that you should keep as much as like a couple grand in your house at a time for like, in case something were to happen. Like your shit about the like electrical pulse, if we shot out all the electronics and you couldn't hit an ATM or you couldn't like go to a bank and get your money because it was attached to like, whatever.
Right. I don't remember where I came across this, but I was reading somewhere that soldiers and especially pilots used to, and maybe still do, in their bag of like their emergency bag with like first aid kit and rations and whatever else would be in there.
Sure.
They would always put a few gold coins in there.
Sure.
So that no matter where they ended up, they could at least barter for basic supplies.
Sure. Or they could, like, gold is taken everywhere, so you could at least transpose your money into their money.
Right. You could get some local currency or trade or something.
That's cool. That's interesting.
But I don't know if there's a modern and like everyman version of that.
Yeah, I guess like for me, to answer your question, like I think because the end of the world is such an extreme event, preparing for it is sort of inherently kind of an extreme thing to do. Like if you're gonna prep for the literal end of the world, you're not just doing like some, if I needed to get away for a month or two or 72 hours or whatever. Like if you were legitimately going, if there is an apocalyptic event, if there was like a massive electrical grid outage or a massive food shortage or whatever, I'm personally prepared to survive that on my own. You're probably doing something like pretty extreme, right? I mean, you kind of have to.
I would think there've got to be some very wealthy people that are actually preparing for realistic scenarios in realistic, sustainable ways.
There
like
definitely
I have property
are.
somewhere and I have generators, or I have solar power and I have a well and I have XYZ and I have a helicopter that I can get there with or something.
Yeah.
Like that has to exist, right?
Yeah, so there actually is this really amazing article in the New Yorker from January 30th of this year. Spencer didn't know that I had this link on deck. I know that sounds like he just totally teed me up to do this, but he actually didn't.
It's called chemistry, bruh.
So this article is called Doomsday Prep for the Super Rich. And basically it covers a lot of the Silicon Valley millionaires who are doing like essentially exactly what you're talking about. They're some of them are buying islands. Some of them are buying huge plots of land.
An island seems like it would be more risky than you might need to be, but I'll let you explain.
I guess it would be the ultimate get away from everything else.
What do you do about water, though?
Desalinator.
Yeah. Or I guess maybe you could I don't know if wells are an option on islands. I don't know
I don't know how that works. Well, if you're surrounded by salt water.
I'm no scientist.
All I was born.
Yeah.
So Steve Huffman, who founded Reddit and is currently the CEO, it basically accounts that like,
Do they have money?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're valued at right around $1 billion now.
Do they actually have money though? I guess. Sorry, whatever. This doesn't matter.
But yeah, basically he's like a prepper and a survivalist, and he has a gassed up. This is the quote. Oh no, this is another guy who's in like one of this dude's Facebook groups about like keeping a gassed up helicopter, an underground bunker with an air filtration system.
Okay.
Marvin Liao, a former Yahoo executive who's now a partner at 500 Startups, a venture capital firm, considering his preparations, decided that his caches of food and water were not enough. He said, "What if someone comes and tries to take this?" To protect his wife and daughter, he said, "I don't have guns, but I have a lot of other weaponry. I took classes in archery."
I'm really good at stuffing raccoons with explosives.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I have
Yeah.
slingshot to launch dead raccoons at people.
That'll do it. But yeah, this whole article is really interesting, and it is about the very rich people and the very rich ways they're going about this, which is
Okay.
I mean, I can't.
So some people are doing it right.
Some people are doing it like very aggressively and very, I guess, right would be the term. I mean, they're
More sustainably than I
Right.
have some food tucked away and I bought myself a rifle.
I bought myself a rifle. In fact, there are some people that are doing prepping super right, and I think we should take a quick break. And I want to come back and I want to tell you a story.
Is it the guy who's training his cats to hunt for him?
It is not the guy.
Okay.
It is a what was formerly a top secret U.S. government project called Project Greek Island. Ooh. And I think it's pretty cool.
Sweet.
All right, we'll come back with that in just a fast moment here on the What If Podcast.
We want to hear from you. Send us a message. Email hi, that's hi, at whatifpodcast.com. Or leave us a voicemail at 612-246-4614.
Welcome back. This is the What If Podcast. We're talking about what if the world ends.
Sometimes I always fail.
Is that the world speaking?
Yes, that's Earth.
That's Earth.
That's humanity as a whole.
Today we're talking about people preparing for the end of the world, which
Well,
I think
this could apply to most of them
Sometimes
too.
I always
Well, that's true.
fail.
this
Seriously.
one, the story seriously, the story I'm about to tell you though is actually less of a fail and more of a win, I would say. We have to go back in history a little bit to talk about
Y2K.
Not yet. We're going
B2K.
B2K. We're going before Y2K. We're going back to the 50s to talk about Project Greek Island. In the early 50s to late 50s, so we're talking about like basically middle of the Cold War at this point.
Y50.
Y50?
Sorry. It's
that-
really miserable.
Oh, is that a Y2K joke?
Yeah.
Okay, Y50. We can call it Y50.
Hawaii 50. Continue. I'm going to turn my microphone
Okay,
off.
perfect. Great, good. So right around this time, well, not right around this time, exactly during this time, Eisenhower's president. Cold War is heating up.
This is before or after he met with the Greys and made a deal to exchange people for abductions for technology.
If I knew what year that was, I'd be able to tell you, but I don't know what year
sorry.
that was, so I can't tell you.
Hit the off switch again.
I am glad you turned your mic back on though for that.
You're welcome.
So in Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C., West Virginia, there is a resort. It is called the Greenbrier Resort. And in 1957, the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia announced that they were going to be building a new wing of their resort. This is like a big, nice resort that a lot of the DC folk and Virginia folk would go out into the woods and stay at. Had a big golf course, pools, bunch of nice shit. Indoor recreation hall, exhibition hall. It was like this big thing. Still is, actually. In 1959, they began digging what the local residents dubbed, quote, the big hole.
Sounds fun.
And the way that they explained this to people was that they were digging a big hole to basically make their golf course bigger. So they needed more dirt to make the mounds and the hills and shape the land. So they were going to dig up a bunch of dirt from one location, go move the dirt to the golf course, plant grass over it, etc., and like add another 9 holes to their 18 or whatever. So don't worry, that's why we're digging a big
making
hole.
some sand traps.
Just making some
Nothing
sand
to see
traps.
here.
Nobody worry about it. So people got a little suspicious when the FBI was vetting the people who were digging the big hole, but they figured, who knows?
Really creative name. I love it.
The big hole. Well, that's just what the local residents dubbed it, I guess. It wasn't the official name.
Wasn't that your nickname in high school?
The big hole.
Yeah.
The black hole. I did eat a lot. That could work. So they built a big fence and they dug this big hole. They put 50,000 tons of concrete back into the hole to fill it, which people weren't fully sure where that was going or what they were doing
It's
with
going
it.
in the hole, obviously.
Well, right, but exactly.
There's a big hole. You can fit a lot of concrete in there.
Exactly.
From what I've heard, it was pretty big.
Big, as they say. And then on top of the area that they dug this, they built a new wing of the Greenbrier Resort. 153 rooms, etc. Now, what everybody didn't know is that underground, the Eisenhower administration was building a 112,000 square foot underground nuclear fallout shelter.
That's probably where they met with the Greys.
Might have been. That stayed in operational use, as in was ready to serve its purpose all the way until 1996.
What, something like 30 feet of concrete will keep you from getting radiated to death?
Yeah, so, well, and it depends what it is. It depends, like, I think, like, when you're that far underground, because they were, like, 120 feet underground.
Oh, sure. And
then they say that the walls for this compound were 3 to 5 feet thick of concrete on all sides.
Yeah, if you're 100 feet underground, that probably does the trick, too.
Right. I think the combination makes you extra super duper safe. And then they had like a 5-ton metal door that was big enough to drive trucks into, so you could go around this like back path and get into this one door and drive a truck through this giant thing. There's some really crazy pictures, which we'll either link to or we'll send to, but or we'll put on online. But whatifpodcast.com.
That's the place.
That's the place. But basically, they were preparing for the ability for everyone in Congress to live for 30 years.
Whoa.
They had 30 years of food rations stored here. Yep.
What keeps for 30 years?
MREs, man.
30 years?
Bro, look at this photo.
This is really great radio right now.
Those are the rations lined up in
Sure,
the
but,
hallways
like,
of this bunker.
What food lasts 30 years?
I mean, I don't know. You can freeze dry stuff and it lasts for like ever if it's preserved properly.
Really?
You get I think so, yeah. If you get all the moisture out of stuff, canned stuff can last for like a super duper long time depending on what's in it. A lot of stuff is like mixed with
isn't
water.
the can itself going to start deteriorating after 30 years?
Maybe. I don't know.
That's a long time.
I don't know,
to
man.
have something be edible and still have some nutritional value.
Well, they might also had different standards in the mid 50s of like what was going to suffice or what would still have nutritional value.
Were they pulling water from a source somewhere, or were they somehow bottling 30 years worth of water? I don't know how you do that
I'm not
either.
actually sure.
I guess you could probably have some sort of well or groundwater situation going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see anything about where their water source is coming from, but they built a dormitory They built a small power plant inside of it.
You'd have to.
They built...
We're talking several hundred people, right?
1,100.
Oh, okay.
So
did you say that already and I wasn't listening?
No.
Okay.
But just all of Congress. So 100 senators, 435 congressmen.
Oh, right.
And then they said some 400 to 500 staff people.
Anybody get a +1 or your family just got
right. I think not, actually, which is the crazy part. They actually, it was kind of weird. They said people started getting suspicious when they were building the resort extensions. They were adding a lot more bathrooms, but they were only men's bathrooms.
Jesus.
And it was because most of Congress, to this day, most of Congress is still male. But
toilet's a toilet. Like what?
I guess, yeah. But I think it was more like in the resort itself. Because the idea was if a nuclear bomb happened, the fallout would get better over time and they could potentially go up.
Move back above ground.
Move back above and come back down kind of thing.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
Must have been fucking weird living in the 50s and 60s
and having that
70s,
fear.
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, I was so wrong. The West Tunnel blast door weighed 25 tons.
Damn.
Not 5 tons. 25 tons.
Yeah, you were within 500%.
Yeah, I guess. 153
pretty good
total
for our
rooms,
purposes.
18 dormitories, a 12-bed hospital, a power plant, a TV studio so that they could film and send stuff out to the public. And then separate meeting chambers for the House and the Senate.
See? Meeting chambers. One for the House, one for the Senate, one for the aliens.
Yep. So that was again, like, it's kind of crazy to think about. What year did Bill Clinton come into office?
92, right?
92, right? So
92 to... No.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 92 to 2000. Mm-hmm. We went Clinton to W.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So...
Jesus, that's not that long ago. I feel stupid now.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I was with you too. I had to think about it for a second. But for 3 years of Clinton's presidency, if some like apocalyptic event had happened, they would have been like, we're going to West Virginia, motherfuckers, like right now. Like, it's crazy to me that in our lifetimes, that was a plan that existed in our country to keep our Congress
Bill wouldn't
alive.
have gone. It's all dudes. He's not in there.
That's true. That's true. Or maybe those quote unquote 400 to 500 staffers was
hookers
/+1s/ whatever, whatever meets your fancy.
It would have been the same for him.
Well, but yeah, man, Project Greek Island. Actually, it was crazy. The Washington.
It's a great code name.
It is. The Washington Post, which this is so shitty to me. They wrote an article in 1996 that exposed the project. Basically, somebody had been doing investigative research on a lot of the like, hey, why do you guys keep a staff of quote unquote TV repair people online? And it's like, oh, well, we have lots of TVs in the room. These dudes were just like data analysts and intelligence people.
Radar operators
who like lived on the premises and were there for like running if something were to go down, were the ones who are opening and shutting doors and making sure everything goes smoothly. So between that and the like too many men's bathrooms and some of like the trips of people that were there, etc. WAPO did an expose, I guess, and basically was like, hey, this is a thing that exists.
That's sort of their job, isn't it?
I mean, kind of, except that what happened was they immediately decommissioned it because it doesn't do you a ton of good if everyone knows the place that Congress is going to be if the world ends.
Try being a little sneakier.
I guess.
If the Washington Post can figure it out, so can other people.
True. Now the crazy part is, though, we can do a tour if we go out there.
Word?
You can walk it. Yeah, you can pay to go on a tour through it. And they have actually the people who were some of the data analysts and people who actually worked the resort who were also had FBI clearance are people who give the tours now.
We should probably do that.
That sounds cool as shit, right? Mm-hmm. You get to go 120 feet in an elevator underground and go check out where Congress would have lived if the whole world got blued up.
Blued up?
Blued up, bro. Blued up real good.
So that has to exist somewhere else now, right?
That was literally my first thought when I saw that decommission thing. I was like, okay, so if they decommissioned one, they built a new one. Well, I did a little bit of like digging into this.
They just went down another 100 feet at the same place.
Actually, not a bad idea. Like, shit, we already got all this shit here anyway.
No one will ever think to look in the same place.
Just drop the food down another 100 feet and be like, now it's down there.
They just put a fire pole in the basement.
Keep going, Dave. No, you're in the wrong one.
Got a bunch of dumb waiters going on.
Yeah, right. Just pulling ropes and shit. Well, so isn't there a NORAD facility in like Denver that's built into the mountains in Denver?
Probably. There's a bunch of military shit in Colorado.
This is not going to be a good story because I remember reading this article, but I couldn't find it for this. But I'm pretty sure there's a NORAD like
Good
presidential
googly-moogly.
Good googly moogly. There's
Specifically Denver?
I think, or like outside of Denver, center of Colorado. There's a bunch of crazy stuff about the Denver airport, which we could do like a whole fucking episode on. If
It's
we
a
really
weird one.
wanted to.
There's some good conspiracies around that.
There are some great ones.
First result is NORAD Dance Bar. I don't think that's what we're looking for.
That sounds
like a good time, though.
Sounds kind of weird.
Combat Operations Center and Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station.
Maybe that.
Colorado Springs.
Okay, maybe that's it. I don't know. I just remember hearing that there's like some buried presidential place, and like it's partially because it's located almost directly in the dead center of the country, and it's away from like major cities.
I think this is probably what you're thinking of. Okay. So it's the Cheyenne Mountain facility, opened in the late 60s, and it's a huge military facility built into or inside of Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Still in operation. There are 15 buildings inside of the mountain.
Yeah, okay. This is what I'm
like several miles into the mountain.
Yes.
They're all connected to each other. They have plumbing and sewage and all that stuff. Yeah, this seems like it's probably what you're looking for. There are more giant blast doors that are like several meters thick.
Yeah. Idea being like if the president and a group of other people needed to be gone for a long time, they could go live in a mountain.
But this is public too.
Public knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Like the fact that people know about it is true.
They employ 350 people. There are 5 lakes inside the mountain.
Shut up.
One entirely filled with diesel fuel.
No way.
So that if it had to be sealed off, they could use the diesel fuel to power generators.
Whoa.
The other ones are to store fresh water.
Damn. What are you reading this from?
This is the denverchannel.com. We'll put a link to it up. It's actually a pretty good article.
Cool.
It was designed to handle or to withstand a nuclear blast, but it's also ready to handle an EMP or electromagnetic pulse.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Man. Yeah, that's the other one that I knew of, but I didn't know. I would imagine though that like that's where they would maybe send the president and some top military people, but like I don't know if there's a Congress backup. It can't be that because you'd have to fly 1,000 people to Denver.
Yeah, I don't know how that part of it would work, but I mean,
the West Virginia part made sense because it was like they could shuttle those dudes there in 20 minutes.
I'm sure they could figure something out. Shit, we built highways to get military stuff across the country.
That's true.
Apparently the Cheyenne Mountain complex was open to the public up until 9/11. Like you could go take a tour of it. And now it is not.
Interesting.
And it is heavily guarded, and the closest you can get is 1.5 miles away from it.
Bummer. Man, I wish we'd been What If podcasters when we were 13.
Back in 98, 99.
when we were 12 and 13 years old.
That would have been a real shitty podcast.
Hey, man, listen, Power Rangers, and I just got Jay-Z's first record. But anyway, man, that's for what it's worth. For the most part, it seems like between Cheyenne and the Greenbrier or Project Creek Island, there are some people that are prepping pretty
well,
hard.
and when you've got billion-dollar budgets, like you could actually, when you can build a lake of diesel fuel inside a mountain, it's not shit that Steve in Alabama can do.
Also, for what it's worth, that sounds like the biggest hazard in the history of hazards.
Sounds like a good way to blow up a mountain.
Yeah. We're going to seal off all the entrances, and then we've got about 600,000 gallons of diesel fuel.
And then around the whole perimeter of the mountain, we've just got stuffed mountain lions. Brian's going to shoot him as soon as he sees somebody walking up. It's going to set off a chain reaction amongst the stuffed mountain lions, and we'll be safe. We'll create a moat.
The one on the highest hill has a nuclear warhead in it, so Brian, only shoot the big one if you really fucking mean it, bro.
Inside the moat, we have stuffed sharks and lava.
We piped a bunch of water or a bunch of fucking gunpowder in through their gills and sewed them up.
Oh man. Yeah, that's the way to actually prep.
Yeah, man.
These dudes with like 6 guns and some macaroni and cheese are fucking amateurs.
Amateur hour, man. You gotta be.
You don't have a diesel lake.
Yeah. If you haven't been digging what someone else has described as a big hole, you are not doing it right yet.
You just gave your kid a handgun for some reason.
Yeah.
We got time for one more story or so.
I got 2 more that are short.
Oh, yikes. All right. Well, let's fucking do it then.
All right, let's go, baby.
Is it me or you?
You go.
Okay. I found an article from 1999 about people prepping for Y2K, and I forgot how big of a deal Y2K was.
Party like it's 19. Hold up, it is.
People really went ham on the Y2K prep.
Oh yeah, man. We were all sure it was going down.
So there's we'll link to this too, but it's from the New York Daily News, December 27th, 1999.
Well, let's not give it too much credit then.
Well, it was better in the 90s, but
right, I'll accept that.
Just like the crazy spending sprees that people went on, and like stocking water and gasoline.
I kind of vaguely remember there was a period of time around Y2K where people were buying toilet paper because they thought it was going to be currency, like sheets of toilet paper were going to turn into our money. So people were like hoarding toilet paper, not because they were like, oh, I'm going to need to wipe my butt for a long time. They're like, oh, I'm going to be rich.
Hey, I know my plan for the apocalypse, and it's just to be constantly shitting myself. That's really all I got.
Honestly, I'm
going to have a lot of anxiety. The water's probably not going to be that clean. Nope. Just a lot of pooping.
I'm going to be eating like packaged food from 20 years ago. It's not going to be that good for me.
Eating 30-year-old lean cuisines.
Yeah.
Shit's going to get ugly.
My system already is very delicate as it is. Like that is going to throw me all kinds of out of whack.
So my favorite quote from this New York Daily News article comes from Jay Wishner, a Manhattan internet consultant.
Ooh.
Yeah, because people had titles like internet consultant. Quote, I'm waiting for disaster, end quote. Sorry, I timed that right as you took a sip of your beverage. But that's the quote from Jay.
I almost just blew 3 ounces of Surly beer all over all of this very expensive equipment.
Do I have cases of food, cases of rice, containers of water, canned ham, and vegetables? I'm going to live better with or without Y2K. Canned ham doesn't make your life better, Jay. How shitty is your life right now?
He's like, ooh, I'm saving that canned ham for a special occasion. It might be the world ending. It might not.
Michael Harrison, age 12, wandered up and down the aisles of Duane Reade on his skateboard. As if you weren't aware that this was an article from the 90s, New York.
Duane Reade on his skateboard.
Mm-hmm. My mom keeps at least 17 blankets in the house. We have 20 flashlights, but none of them have batteries. But we've got a lot of leftover candles from Hanukkah.
Yep. What?
Mm-hmm. Mike and his family were very prepared.
Excess blankets, excess flashlights, deficiency of batteries.
Dude, I remember like at the end of this article, they were serious about it. They gave the last half of this article is a checklist of things that you should have ready for Y2K.
Oh yeah.
And like our government was putting out like, make sure you have at least 72 hours worth of food and water and blah, blah, blah. So you want to hear their checklist?
Yeah, 100% I do. Actually, I want to hear the checklist because when I leave here tonight, I'm going to go buy all the things on the checklist and then I'm going to be a prepper too.
Some of these are really 90s specific and it's great.
Okay.
First one, pretty obvious, food and water. They recommend at least a 3-day supply of drinking water and a gallon per person per day. Non-perishable food, and a non-electric can opener because you're going to need to open your cans of food.
Right. Which could also just be like any blunt object, but...
Yeah, but, got to conserve your energy when you're on a calorie restriction,
It's true.
Health and hygiene, they recommend that you have at least a week's supply of prescription drugs.
Yep. Makes sense.
And a first aid kit.
Makes sense.
As well as an adequate supply of personal hygiene items and toilet paper.
That's true.
Cash. Keep extra cash or traveler's checks.
Wow, remember when that was a thing?
Just in case ATM or credit card transactions are disrupted.
Wow.
The federal FEMA recommended having as much cash on hand as you would for a holiday weekend.
Okay. That's
Too much
interesting.
cash could invite theft.
Dude, that's what so many of these preppers are like scared of. That's why they all
That's
keep
why they all
guns.
buy AR-15s.
Yeah, exactly.
That and because they want excuses to buy AR-15s because they're crazy fucks. But they recommend filling your car with gas. They tell you not to cook with charcoal inside your house.
That's an interesting. That's a really interesting thing to
Lowest
add to
common
the
denominator,
checklist.
man. You never know.
Also, while you're at it,
Adequate supply of blankets, hats, and gloves,
shout out to that dude's mom. She got 17,
but no flashlights. Battery-operated radios, flashlights. It says, if you live in a multi-story building, plan your comings and goings and deliveries carefully, as many buildings will ground elevators.
Oh, sure.
It then says, have copies of important records and bank statements on hand.
Wow.
And expect disruptions on January 1st from phone and internet.
Wow.
An internet logjam is also possible, so use it sparingly. Most PCs made within the last 4 years and all Apple's Macintoshes are Y2K compliant.
Yes.
Apple's Macintoshes. If your PC is older or you are still concerned, check with the manufacturer about bugs and fixes.
Bro, how many Mac computers got sold just off of this?
Right? You mean Apple's Macintoshes?
How many Apple's Macintoshes?
You can download a free Y2K compliance test from nstl.com, which doesn't look like is in service anymore.
What would that even be? NSTL?
Internet. Nope.
Bro, the first
I don't know, I
letter
can't
was
read it.
the first letter was N, bro.
Yeah, internet.
Are you that 10 C's guy, like trying to find letters in the middle?
Internet.
Enter. You know that's wrong. Don't you fucking lie to me.
National Site Testing.
Logjam.
There you go. Testing logjams.
Careful about your
.com.
logjam. Man, yeah, Y2K was a big thing. Dude, even more recently, 2012, man. A lot of this same shit was going around.
The last part, products could be affected if they have embedded computer chips. So I read there was some like web forum from 99 of alerting people to a scam of some guys who are going around and offering to test your appliances for Y2K compliance. God. And they'd like take the back off your refrigerator and be like, yeah, you're compliant. Your refrigerator's good to go.
And they would give,
and then they'd charge you like
$100. Yeah. Bro, respect the hustle, man.
Right?
Respect the hustle.
Yeah, your microwave is Y2K compliant. That'll be $59.
Oh my God.
We had to make a few adjustments to the rotary girder, but you should be good to go, ma'am.
You know what? It'd be even better is if they were just going in and telling everybody that all of their appliances were fucked and they had to buy new ones from them.
Dude, that was probably like a Montgomery Ward scam.
What? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. That was a 90s department store.
Oh, damn.
You don't remember Ward's?
No, man. Dude, I grew up in Minnesota. We had Dayton's, bro.
So did I.
I know, but I'm saying we had Dayton's.
Yeah, with your bougie ass going to Dayton's. Montgomery Ward was like the knockoff.
Shout out to Dayton's. We didn't always go to Dayton's. We also went to Fleet Farm.
Sure.
Fleet Farm, bro. Fleet Farm.
Yeah.
Bro, if we could get a Fleet Farm sponsorship for this podcast, that would be so sick.
Anyway, Y2K was a thing.
Yeah, man.
Except then it wasn't.
People were prepping.
Yeah. And people just end up with a lot of extra Chef Boyardee in their house.
That's real. Which, according to that guy, you're going to live better one way or the other because you're going to just be eating more Chef Boyardee and that's going to make your life better.
We got spaghetti and blankets.
So really quickly, I want to, before we got some more time. All right. I'm going to tell you a couple more quick stories.
Hit me.
One I know you know something about. And one I think a lot of people who are listening probably know something about because it's been in the news lately. and it is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. So this is located, this vault is located in the remote Arctic Svalbard archipelago.
Nice.
Which is 800 miles away from the North Pole. So up there.
Way up there.
Way, way, way up there.
Up cheer.
On an island.
I did not know that part.
It is an island, yeah. I mean, because it's on an archipelago, it's technically on an island.
See, I didn't know that word. And
An archipelago is a chain of islands, generally in an arcing fashion away from a body of like land.
like a dotted line peninsula.
Well done. Exactly
Thanks.
like that.
Thanks.
Yes.
Like
nailed
Alaska,
it. See,
right?
you're good. You got it.
Isn't that what's at the bottom of Alaska there?
Yes. That
Yeah.
is also an
Okay.
archipelago. Yes.
Cool. Now I'm with you.
Yeah, man. So
I thought you were talking about like a scale, but you play every other note.
oh man, that is a cut that
Uh-huh.
only a handful are gonna get.
Hey, you got it. That was just for you.
I cringed and then acknowledged and kept it moving. It's in Spitsbergen
Okay.
in a town called Longyearbyen.
Pardon?
Longyearbyen.
Like a year that's long but also good?
Longyearbyen. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with long good year. Yeah,
All
I
right,
think
cool.
that's kind of what I would say.
I fuck with that town name.
Yeah, man. They broke ground on this vault in 2006 and opened it in 2008.
Okay.
And essentially, there's a bunch of groups that are involved in this, and I won't try to say them all, but it's like it's managed by the Norwegian government. There's a group called the Crop Trust. There's another group called the Nordic Genetic Resource Center, NordGen.
Steve Seed Supply.
Steve
Triple
Seed
S
Supply
is up there.
probably involved. There's a bunch of funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that has gone
yeah.
into this.
Good on them.
Yeah, right. And essentially what they're doing is allowing and opening this vault to countries around the world to send samples of seeds to be stored in very, very specific conditions to preserve them should anything happen on a national or international scale that would potentially ruin something either on like a global scale or
Yeah.
in like a small local scale.
Where we need to jumpstart agriculture again.
Or this, yeah. So like say, for example, let's say there's a meteorite that strikes. Wait, what is it? It's a meteor when it's in the sky, and it's a meteorite when it lands?
Once it hits the ground, correct.
It's a meteorite.
Yes.
Okay, so a meteorite, let's say a meteorite hits some sub-Saharan Africa and wipes out like basically all of the, 15 or 16 or 18 countries in its path.
Mm-hmm.
There are a bunch of African countries who have been like, these are all the native species of plants and agriculture, etc. And they have preserved their seeds in a very specific way that the Svalbard Global Seed Vault determines they must be sealed in. And they bring them up to this vault up by the North Pole to be stored in this very gigantic cataloged location for sort of insurance against these massive incidents happening.
I gave you kind of bad information about meteors.
Is it the inverse?
No, there's actually a third option that I forgot about.
Oh.
So a meteor specifically refers to the flash of light that you see as the object is going through our atmosphere.
Okay.
The debris or the object itself is called a meteoroid.
Oh, wow.
And once it hits the Earth, it's called a meteorite.
Okay. There
And
we go.
Metroid is a great game for Nintendo.
Boom. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, do you want to guess how many samples of seeds they have in there? So this is separate individual plants, vegetables, fruits, etc.
I could sound really smart, but I know the answer. So
Oh, do you? All right,
I'll
well
let
then-
you tell the people.
So there are 400,000 different, which I'm going to sound stupid because I'm like, that sounds like way too many.
It's 400,000 unique varieties of seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the total is billions because they have several of all of those.
Yeah, right. Because
more than several, I guess. But.
Each one, they say for each varietal. So for example, in this article I'm reading, Ireland submitted 32 different varieties of potato. For each variety of potato, they dried 500 seeds of that one variety. So just for those 32 potato varieties, just specifically from Ireland, what's 32 times 500? I'm so bad at math. 15,000?
16,000.
Yeah, 16,000.
Right.
Seeds
So it's
just for that alone.
So it's 400,000 unique varieties and then some billions of total seeds.
Something like that. Yeah,
that are stored
huge.
in this really fucking cold place.
It is literally below 0 Fahrenheit. For our international friends, negative 18 Celsius, and for us US-ish folk, it's 0.4 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit.
Constantly? They cool it to that all the time?
Yeah, so it's constantly at that temperature, but they also buried this mofo 430 feet into the ground. It's 390 feet inside of the mountain, which is helping keep it cold because it's so much colder down there. But also the location itself is 430 feet above sea level.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason they chose this location, so that like even if there's a melt that happens, it will hopefully still be raised above all of that.
I was watching something with an interview with one of the dudes who works there, where he was saying like even for years without power, they would maintain
stasis
well below freezing temperatures still.
Wow.
So that the seeds they're prepared to preserve the seeds for approximately 30 years.
Wow.
With or without power.
So like it could just stop and be done.
Yes. And then you'd still have 30 years to get there and figure out what you want to do with shit and wait for things to not be irradiated anymore or whatever.
That's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm. But the reason that this has been in the news recently is kind of for a negative reason.
Yeah, I mean, it got blown way out of proportion, I think. Like, essentially...
sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I know we both read that same article, but essentially, there are like 5 locking doors that it takes to get to the actual, like, when you could go to a rack and pull a packet of seeds out. Mm-hmm. So, like, it takes a lot to get in there, which actually kind of worried me for a second. I was like, those seem like some really like important codes or keys or people to like be like, if we lose those people, we're like, well, we do have a shitload of seeds, but
just, put a key under the mat or something.
Nobody can fucking get to them. But yeah, there was, so due to global warming, there's been some melt happening around the North Pole and in that region, and they've had some water melt and ice melt happening due to water melt, ice melting into water.
Steam?
Steam? Yeah, I guess that's how that works. They've had some water leakage coming into the vault, which only like affected the entrance to it and didn't get into the seeds themselves at all. It wasn't like I think some of the articles were like that was a
big story in the last week or two.
No, it fucking didn't. Like it. Yeah,
well,
I mean,
technically, yes.
Technically, water got into it, but basically, what they're saying is they're gonna spray a waterproofing coat on like all of the insides of the vault, and they're gonna do some digging of trenches to like let water go away if this ever happens.
If water gets in there, the seeds will just start sprouting. Then we'll have more. Shit's fine.
Well, I was like, if water gets in there, it won't go anywhere because it's literally below 0, so it'll just freeze instantly and never go anywhere. It'll just stop.
Good point.
At the cold part. But yeah, man, they're trying to preserve our ability to like eat and grow shit.
Not go back to being hunter-gatherers.
Not going back to being hunter-gatherers. If some big, massive, crazy event were to go down, we were to somehow scorch a bunch of the earth or whatever, potentially could get back to a place where we could grow stuff.
Agriculture has been sort of a little bit important to human beings for the last several thousand years.
Totally. And do you know what else has?
No.
Animals.
Yes.
Because we were hunters for a time too. In fact, we're still hunters. In fact, so much of our food supply is also based in hunting.
See.
Which is why... Well, not hunting.
Yeah. animals.
farming
Yeah.
animals, which is why there are
Show
groups.
us what you got.
Show me what you got. Who are doing a global seed vault version of preservation? But
They building an ark?
the frozen ark, bro. The frozen ark.
Well, according to ancient alien theorists, that was just a DNA bank anyway.
That's literally what this is, though.
Fuck. They were right.
That's literally what this is.
Giorgio was right.
The San Diego Zoo, the Audubon Center for Research of Endangered Species, etc., a bunch of zoos they're doing it in a little bit of a different angle. They're doing it for preservation of animals that may be going extinct.
I was going to say, we don't usually eat zoo animals.
No, not necessarily.
I guess we could. You know?
But they're broadening the scope of what they're sort of trying to preserve, increasingly for similar reasons. So currently, the Frozen Zoo, which, man, if we haven't come up with enough good band names in the last 3 or 4 episodes, because Frozen Zoo is that's
a great one.
Amazing band name. They're basically storing sperm and eggs from a bunch of different animals in liquid nitrogen and have been doing so since 1976. They currently have over 8,400 samples from over 800 different species and subspecies that are kept cryogenically frozen with the hopes that, for a couple different reasons, some of the things that they have kept have already gone extinct. And they're keeping them with the hope that one day we could clone them into becoming species back to life again once our cloning technology gets better.
Combining them.
Well,
I want post-apocalyptic giraffe penguins.
Do you remember that article about mastodons where they were trying to clone a mastodon with
bring 'em back.
elephant DNA? Dude, that'd be so crazy.
So much food.
Yeah, man. The University of Georgia's Regenerative Bioscience Center is helping build the Frozen Zoo, gathering material for a Frozen Zoo. I'm reading from the wiki about Frozen Zoo specifically. Is rendered simply by the abundance of sperm in males. Science have extracted cells from Sumerian tigers. It's like this crazy experiment where they're trying to keep as much genetic material, DNA, from animals as possible, both for purposes of, if we fucking asshole human beings make animals go extinct, maybe we could bring them back for genetic research. Maybe we could clone them back into existence. Or maybe, potentially, we could also be keeping certain types of animals around for bringing them back into sort of our farming and agricultural purposes if we were to somehow inadvertently lose one of these species.
Let's domesticate some polar bears.
I mean, I guess. God, we'd need a couple more of them first, but...
Well, shit, start cloning them.
I guess. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but...
We have the power.
Yeah, man, the frozen ark, bro.
That's crazy. I've never heard about that one.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. But everybody's trying to prepare. I think it gives the most credence to the world actually ending, that there are a lot of people who are putting a lot of money into projects like the Seed Vault and the Frozen Zoo.
People just need stuff to do, man. I think that's what it comes down to.
I don't know. I think there's some people are putting money into it because they're like, well, maybe we should be careful.
Yeah, right. But also, if you had other shit to do, that wouldn't be your priority.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the Gates Foundation has done a lot of good.
Yeah.
So,
who has more resources than them,
Bill Gates?
Yeah. They don't have shit to do. That dude never would have to do anything ever again if he didn't want to.
He's like, it sounds tight building a seed vault with hundreds of thousands of fucking...
Especially when the extent of what I have to do is just throw money at it.
And then people will be like, fuck yeah, we'll totally make that happen for you.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Because I have to pay my bills. So yes, sure. I'll pretend to clone polar bears.
And I'll let Bill pay my bills for me.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Bill, if you want to pay our bills, shout out the What If Podcast.
Yeah, we just gave you some free pub and probably some false statements.
We would also probably give you the most interesting interview of your life if you ever wanted to come on here. So there's
no way that's true, but we'd be happy to have you.
Yeah, man.
That should do it, huh?
I guess that kind of ties it off.
There's your fucking entertainment for the week.
See, guys, it's not all lost. We have seed vaults and frozen arcs and people
this guy training his cats.
Yeah, guy training his cats. Should we go out on that audio?
Yeah, I think I got it ready.
Okay. We'll go out on some prepper audio that will, if it doesn't make you laugh, you don't have a soul.
Yeah, if you want some great free entertainment, and you're welcome for the free advertising, Nat Geo. Don't sue me for playing your clips on our show.
Yeah.
Doomsday Preppers is a fucking ridiculous show.
Very ridiculous.
And there are many seasons of it.
Very ridiculous.
Also, this shit's on YouTube because who wants to pay for cable?
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck you, Comcast.
A couple quick things.
We will not sponsor your bitch ass.
A couple quick things before we bounce out of here. We hope you guys have enjoyed the run of live shows we did. We certainly enjoyed doing them. Let us know via email what you think about those. hi@whatifpodcast.com.
Unless you hate them, and then, just keep it to yourself.
I mean, we're
not going to probably do any more of them anyway.
I kind of want to read them. We're probably not going to be doing live episodes for a little bit. So if you didn't like those, you're welcome. I guess happy to know that. But big thanks to everybody involved with those. We had a bunch of the homies out, and they were very fun to do with those cats. We'll have them back in this room though, so don't worry. You'll keep hearing all those voices. But yeah, probably no more live shows, at least for a little while, unless you want to bring us to your town or whatever, and then we'll definitely hang out with you.
I've been trying to get to Montreal for a while, so.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
If anybody,
I've still never been to Toronto. I know we got some Canadian listeners, so shout out to you guys.
We don't take up that much space. We'll come hang out and talk about weird shit with you.
What up, Sweden? We still want to come see you.
True.
And then also...
They've gotten passed by Canada and the UK recently, though.
Ooh, okay.
Slipping.
I didn't know that. I hadn't seen the new geographic demographics.
Canada has been repping super hard for the pod lately.
Appreciate y'all very much. And then lastly, at What If Pod on all of our social medias, if you want to holler at us, give us a show idea, make fun of us, tell us we got something wrong. Otherwise, you can do that via 612-246-4614, or like I said, go to whatifpodcast.com. You can contact us there. Check out some episodes too.
Bling, blow.
Bling, blam, blow. We're going to listen to this guy talk about trading his cats for the apocalypse before we get out of here. And as always, we will see you guys next week on the What If Podcast.
Have a good week, y'all.
All right, squad, be safe.
Jimmy also plans to live off the elk and deer that he can hunt on the surrounding mountains. But hunting big game can take up to 12 days. So he's training his two cats, Bubba and Kiki, to hunt food for him as well. Cats are natural predators. In the US alone, they hunt and kill billions of birds and small mammals each year.
After a long winter, it looks like we're going to go into training mode here again, and everybody's going to get a tune-up, my cats and myself included, for hunting and surviving and everything else. Yeah, these cats are my companions. They're good for me. I talk to them. They depend on me. I take good care of them. So we're going to go out and do some training today. How's that, huh? Want to do some training? Get him. Get him, Bubba. Get him, Bubba. Bring me back some food. Oh, God, you're not going to do this. Look at him run. He's running. I'm going to have to starve these cats. God. Baby. Cat trading didn't go as good as I would have liked it to have gone. I will keep training the cat. I really, truly believe that they would bring me food if I was laying there starving to death with a broken leg. I believe they would drop a rabbit right on my chest.